The pen was heavy in my hand, her dead husband's pen, and across that long table, she watched me hold it like she was grading how I carried the weight. Then she said it. Quiet, almost gentle. Your father crossed out clauses the same way, pressing hard enough to tear the page. My blood stopped moving. You watched him sign something, I said. When? Not a question. I couldn't make it a question. Questions have room for mercy in them, and I didn't have any left. She didn't blink. She didn't look away. She just folded her hands, silk whispering against the table, and said, "That's not the question you want to ask me, Miss Calloway. And I'll wait until you're brave enough to ask the real one. Brave enough." As if she knew exactly what I was hiding. As if she'd been waiting for me longer than I'd been standing in that room. Wait, I am getting way ahead of myself. The fridge in my sister's apartment was dying. It had been dying for 3 years, this rattling hum that stopped and started like an old man deciding whether tonight was the night. Dana refused to replace it. She said it still worked, and in our family, still works times was a love language. The whole place smelled like flour and cheap candle smoke. Dana baked when she was stressed, and she'd been stressed since March, so there was a lemon loaf on the counter that neither of us was going to eat, and a candle burning down to nothing on the windowsill. And on the kitchen table, under the fruit bowl, the letters. She kept them there like they were nothing. 3 envelopes, paper gone soft from handling. Worn the way things get when you pick them up every day and put them back down without opening them again. You don't have to open a debt letter twice. The numbers don't get smaller. Dad's debts. Ours now. Grief with interest. I put my hand flat on the table, next to the bowl, and I made myself say it casually. I got offered a job. Seasonal. Estate work upstate. Upstate where? Finger Lakes area. Which was true. Technically. The way a knife is technically cutlery. Dana poured wine into 2 jam jars. We hadn't owned proper glasses since the auction, and she was opening her mouth to ask more when the little TV on the counter did it for me. Did it times me. Contested Ashford estate, where the late Gerald Ashford's widow declined to comment on the ongoing litigation, though earlier this year she offered this. And then her voice was in my sister's kitchen. I hadn't heard it in 11 years. 11 years, and my body knew it before my mind did this cold drop through my chest, like stepping off a stair I didn't know was there. The estate is not for sale. A pause you could have hung a coat on. Nothing here is. That was it. 2 lines. She'd always talked like that, even at 17, even at our table with her elbows next to mine. Like words cost her something, and she refused to be in debt to anyone. Dana grabbed the remote and killed the screen so hard the batteries rattled. God. Her time's face. She sat down across from me, and I watched my sister age 5 years in one exhale. You know what Dad used to call her? Vivi. He called her Times Vivi Times and made her a plate every Sunday, and she married the man who... She stopped, pressed her lips together. We don't say her name in this family. You know the rule. I knew the rule. I helped write the rule. I'd stood at Dad's funeral with Dana's hand crushing mine and agreed to every word of it. June. Dana leaned in, and the candlelight did something soft and terrible to her face. Promise me the estate job isn't anywhere near their world. Those people. Their money is wet cement. You step in it once and it holds you forever. There it was. My out. All I had to do was laugh and say times, God. No, it's some hobby vineyard owned by a retired dentist, and the lie would be small and round and easy to swallow. But she was watching me, and the fridge rattled, and under the fruit bowl sat the reason I couldn't afford the truth. 3 envelopes. Dad's handwriting on none of them, and Dad's failure on all of them except it wasn't failure. I would have bet my hands on it. I'd watch that man read a frost warning at 4 a.m. and save a whole harvest in his slippers. Men like that don't lose everything by accident. It's nowhere near them, I said. Not a slip. Not a white lie. A door. Closing. With me on the wrong side of it. Dana exhaled and squeezed my wrist, and my pulse jumped under her fingers like it wanted to confess. Good. Because I couldn't take it, Junie. After everything, I couldn't. She got up to cut the lemon loaf we weren't going to eat, and I looked at the table, at the letters, at Dad's pocket knife sitting beside the fruit bowl, the one with the wine-stained handle, the one he used for grafting, the one Dana kept out the same way she kept the letters out. Not as clutter, as witnesses. I understood the table then, all at once, the way you understand weather. It wasn't just where we ate. It was a shrine to everything we owed and everyone we'd lost, and my sister lived with it in arm's reach every single day so she'd never forget who did this to us. And I was about to go work for the widow of the man who did. My phone was in my hand before I'd decided anything. I typed the message to the group chat. Dana, Aunt Ro, the cousins. Got the job. Small estate near Cuca. Boring owner. Great vines. Back by Thanksgiving. Boring owner. My thumb hovered, and the fridge held its breath, and somewhere upstate there was a woman in mourning silk who had just told the whole world that nothing of hers was for sale. I hit send. I typed the lie with my father's pocket knife sitting right there on the table, and neither of them stopped me. The gravel heard me coming before the house did. 300 meters of it, pale and raked, running up through the trees like a rumor, and my poor car announced me the whole way, every stone a little tattletale under the tires. Rich people don't pave their driveways. I'd forgotten that. Pavement is for people who don't need to know who's coming. Gravel is a security system that looks like landscaping. I rolled the window down because my hands were sweating on the cracked vinyl of the wheel, my calloused thumb catching on the split in it, back and forth, back and forth. Counting helped. I counted the fence posts. I got to 41 before the trees opened, and there it was. The rain had come through an hour ahead of me, and the whole world smelled like crushed leaves and wet stone, that green mineral smell that lives somewhere at the bottom of my brain, filed under times before. Before the auction. Before the funeral. Before we were the kind of family that kept debt letters under a fruit bowl. I had planned for the house. I had rehearsed the house. Big, gray, indifferent fine. What I had not planned for was the land. And the land came for me first. The east rose. They ran down the slope in long, patient lines, exactly where they'd always run. And my chest did this slow, stupid lurch, not pain exactly. Recognition. The way your body reacts to a face you loved before you can even name it. 22 years I'd known those rows. I learned to walk between them. I learned to swear in them, quietly, so Dad wouldn't hear. I stopped the car where the drive curved. I didn't decide to. My foot just did it. The fountain by the bend was frozen, not iced over. Broken, dry. Its basin cracked and left that way, which was its own kind of strange in a place where the gravel got raked. Everything on this estate was maintained. Except the one thing built to be beautiful. I filed that away without knowing why. I got out. The rain-wet gravel shifted under my boots, loud as gossip. And the vines, God. The vines were sick. I saw it from 10 feet away, the way you spot a limp in someone you know. The canopy was wrong, too dense in the wrong places, thinned where it should have been thriving. And the leaves at the near end had that exhausted color, that yellow-green surrender. Someone had been pruning by textbook. Textbooks don't know this slope. This slope drains east and lies to you about it. My hands were moving before my anger could file an objection. That was the thing nobody warned me about. That betrayal doesn't live in your hands. Grief does. Skill does. I took a leaf between 2 fingers, turned it over, ran my thumb along the underside, then a cane, then the bark. And there it was, under a strip of healthy brown, rot, quiet, patient, spreading rot, wearing good bark like a borrowed coat. Oh, sweetheart, I heard myself say, to a plant, 11 years away and 30 seconds back. And I was talking to the vines like family, because they were, because nobody had told them anything. The vines didn't know about the auction. The vines didn't know about the funeral. The vines didn't know they'd been stolen, they just knew they were sick, and that the hands touching them now weren't confused anymore. Something came up my throat that I refused to let be a sob, so it came out as a hum instead. 4 notes. Off-key. Dad's hymn. The one he hummed in these exact rows. Badly. Forever, and I slammed my mouth shut so fast my teeth clicked, because that sound did not belong to me here. I was staff. I was temporary. I was a professional with a walkout clause I hadn't even negotiated yet. I was also, apparently, crying a little. Wonderful. 10 minutes on the property. I wiped my face with my wrist and made myself look at the house. Really look at it. Gray stone going dark with the rain light behind it. Windows in rows like a held breath. A storm of a house. And I remembered, standing there, the last thing she ever said to me. 11 years ago. The night everything was ending and none of us knew it yet, when she found me hiding on the porch stairs at Dana's going-away party. She'd looked at me for a long moment, 17-year-old me, all elbows and eavesdropping, and she'd said, "You see everything, June Calloway. One day that's going to cost somebody. Short, controlled, loaded like a spring frost." I'd spent 11 years deciding she'd meant nothing by it. Standing in the dying east rows of my father's stolen vineyard, with her name on the deed and my lie already sent to the family group chat, it occurred to me that maybe the somebody was me. I made myself walk back to the car. Made myself breathe like a hired stranger instead of a haunted daughter. I had an interview to survive, a contract to sign, and a face to build before I reached that door, something neutral, something waterproof, something that didn't hum. But as I reached for the car door, I felt it. That prickle. The specific weight of being watched, like a hand hovering an inch off the back of my neck. I looked up. The Vines didn't know they'd been stolen. They just knew someone who loved them had finally come home. And behind a second-floor window, dark silk moved there, then gone like a storm, deciding exactly where to land.